Chapter 28. The private elevator hummed as it descended from the rooftop garden, the sound unnervingly normal against the chaos unfolding around them. Isabella leaned against the polished wood paneling, mind racing through scenarios with the methodical precision that had made her one of Atlanta's most formidable legal minds. "They've blocked the underground garage," Mikhail said, eyes fixed on his phone, where security feeds scrolled in real time. The blue light from the screen cast harsh shadows across his face, emphasizing the predatory angles. "SWAT teams are at all main exits. They're being thorough." Isabella nodded, unsurprised. "Rogers won't half-ass this. He knows what you're capable of." She watched the numbers on the elevator panel count down, each floor bringing them closer to a confrontation neither had anticipated 30 minutes ago. The digits glowed amber in the dimmed lighting, a countdown to chaos. "The pack has emergency protocols," Mikhail continued, his voice steady, despite the tension radiating from him. He stood unnaturally still, that predator's stillness that reminded her he wasn't human, no matter how civilized he appeared. "Katerina will have initiated evacuation procedures for any pack members in the building." "How many?" Isabella asked, automatically cataloguing potential witnesses, collateral damage, and variables in the developing situation. Her heart pounded against her ribs, the sound loud in her ears, though she knew Mikhail could hear it more clearly than she could. 14, including security personnel. He glanced up from his phone, meeting her eyes directly. In the enclosed space, the intensity of his gaze was almost physical. "They'll need time to reach the tunnels." The elevator slowed, stopping at the penthouse rather than continuing to the lower floors or lobby. Given the circumstances, the doors slid open with a soft chime that seemed absurdly cheerful. Isabella stepped out first, instinctively moving toward the windows to assess the situation from above. The compound's floor-to-ceiling glass offered a panoramic view of the police operation unfolding below. Flashing lights, tactical vehicles, officers establishing a perimeter. The scene was eerily familiar, reminiscent of raids she'd helped coordinate from the other side of the law. "They're setting up for a siege," she observed, her voice clinical, detached. The glass was cool beneath her fingertips as she leaned closer, studying the deployment pattern. "Multiple teams, coordinated entry points. They're expecting resistance." Mikhail moved to stand beside her, his reflection in the window overlaying the chaos below. The contrast was jarring, his composed, elegant presence against the backdrop of tactical teams and emergency lights. "They won't get it. I won't risk packing lives in a confrontation with human authorities." The penthouse door burst open before Isabella could respond. Katerina strode in. Her usual composure was intact, but Isabella had learned to read the subtle signs of stress. The slight flare of her nostrils, the increased tension around her eyes. The enforcer wore tactical gear, dark and functional, with multiple weapons visible and likely more concealed. "Alpha." Katerina nodded to Mikhail, then, with a slight pause, to Isabella. The acknowledgement of her new status was subtle, but unmistakable. "The first floor has been breached. They have silver ammunition and UV lights." Isabella felt her stomach clench. The police were prepared for werewolves, which meant the corruption ran deeper than she'd thought. Someone had equipped them specifically for this raid. Someone who knew what they were hunting. The realization sent a chill down her spine, despite the controlled temperature of the penthouse. Status of the pack. Mikhail's voice had shifted into command mode, deeper and more resonant. The voice that expected immediate obedience. Moving to the eastern tunnels. Elias is leading them. Katerina's eyes flicked to the security monitors, where tiny figures could be seen moving through service corridors. We have 5 minutes before they're clear. And the police? Isabella asked, automatically taking her place in the strategic assessment. The city's lights beyond the windows seemed to pulse with the flashing blues and reds below, painting the room in alternating colors. Securing the main floor and stairwells. Elevator access has been locked down except for your override. Katerina's gaze shifted to the tactical tablet in her hand, where Isabella could see multiple camera feeds displaying armed officers moving with practiced precision through the building's lobby. They have the warrant displayed prominently. For both of you. She gave Mikhail a meaningful look. Isabella glanced at Mikhail, seeing the same calculation in his eyes that she was making. The police had come prepared for werewolves, but they were still operating within legal parameters, a warrant and proper procedure. That gave her an opening, a way to use the system she knew intimately. "Let me see," she said, extending a hand for Katerina's tablet. The enforcer hesitated, looking to Mikhail for confirmation before handing it over. The device was warm from Katerina's hands, and the screen showed multiple security camera feeds in a grid pattern. Isabella zoomed in on the warrant posted at the main entrance, her trained eye picking out details. Obstruction of justice, tampering with evidence, harboring a fugitive, and conspiracy related to the Victor Aldrich case. "Your name is listed first," Mikhail noted, reading over her shoulder. His breath was warm against her skin, a reminder of their intimacy just moments ago on the rooftop. "Mine second." "They want me more than you," Isabella said. "I'm the one who presents the threat of exposing the corruption within the DA's office. If they want you, it's likely for leverage." A plan began to form in her mind. The tablet's screen reflected her face as she considered the options. Her expression hardening into the focused determination that had made defense attorneys fear her in court. A sharp crack shattered the moment. The distinctive sound of a high-powered rifle. The floor-to-ceiling window exploded inward, sending glass shards spraying across the penthouse. "Down!" Mikhail shouted, already moving to shield Isabella. But Katerina reacted fastest, her body launching across the space with supernatural speed. She collided with Mikhail, shoving him aside just as a second shot punched through the air where he had been standing. The bullet found Katerina instead, the impact throwing her backward onto the polished floor. She landed hard, a dark stain immediately spreading across her tactical gear. "Sniper!" Mikhail growled, pulling Isabella behind the nearest solid wall as more glass shattered around them. His eyes flashed crimson, the wolf surging to the surface. Isabella crawled to Katerina. The enforcer's breathing was rapid and shallow, her typically olive complexion alarmingly pale. "Silver," Katerina managed through gritted teeth. The word emerged as a hiss of pain. "Can smell it." Mikhail was beside them instantly, his hands already applying pressure to the wound. "The bullet needs to come out," he said, voice tight with controlled fury. "She can't heal with silver in her system." Isabella's mind raced, assessing options with the clarity that crisis often brought her. The tactical teams would be in the penthouse within minutes. Katerina needed immediate attention. The pack needed time to escape. Listen to me, she said, meeting Mikhail's gaze directly. The red in his eyes had intensified, the wolf responding to a pack member's injury. You need to get her to safety. She needs medical treatment. And we can't afford for human doctors to try to treat her. Isabella, he began, the protest evident in his tone. I'll surrender, she cut him off, her decision crystallizing with absolute certainty. It's the only play that makes sense. They want me. I'll keep their attention while you get Katerina to the tunnels and the pack to safety. Another series of alarms sounded, this time more urgent. The security console showed tactical teams reaching the penthouse level and methodically checking each corridor. They're almost here, Isabella pressed, her voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her system. She placed her hand over Mikhail's, where it applied pressure to Katerina's wound. You can move faster without me. Get her to safety. Give me 24 hours to try to get myself out. This is my world. I know how to navigate it. After that, you can come for me. Katerina's eyes found Isabella's, pain making them glassy, but determination still evident. She's right, Alpha. The enforcer managed, each word costing her. Tactically sound. The seconds stretched between them, filled with the wailing alarms and Katerina's labored breathing. Isabella could see the conflict raging in Mikhail, the Alpha's need to protect his mate, warring with the practical necessity of saving his enforcer and securing his pack. 24 hours, he finally said, the words emerging as a growl. If you're not released in 24 hours, legal methods are abandoned. Isabella nodded, relief flooding her despite the danger she was choosing to face. Agreed. Now go. Mikhail gathered Katerina in one fluid movement, the enforcer's weight seemingly nothing to his supernatural strength. He paused at the hidden panel leading to the emergency exit, eyes locking with Isabella's one final time. Be careful, she said softly, and take care of her. 24 hours, he repeated, the promise carrying the weight of an oath. Then he was gone, the panel sliding closed behind him, just as the first sounds of tactical boots reached the penthouse door. As she approached the entrance, Isabella took a deep breath and squared her shoulders. Beyond the reinforced wood and steel, she could hear the tactical team positioning themselves. The soft rustle of body armor, the metallic clicks of weapons being readied, and the murmured communications through headsets, sounds she'd been familiar with from the other side when she'd been the one directing such operations against criminals who hadn't seen justice coming. With one fluid motion, she disabled the security locks, the system responding to her biometric signature with a soft beep of acknowledgement. The sound was unexpectedly loud in the penthouse's tense silence. Behind her, she sensed, rather than saw Mikhail and Katerina moving toward the concealed passage, their supernatural stealth making them nearly undetectable. Don't shoot! It's Santos. I am unarmed and about to come out. Isabella opened the door before the police could breach it, standing framed in the doorway with her hands raised above her head. The tactical team swung their weapons toward her with practiced precision. The hallway was filled with officers in full gear, faces obscured behind tactical visors, the letters, police, emblazoned across their chests in reflective white. Isabella Santos, she announced clearly, her voice carrying the authority that had made her one of Atlanta's most feared prosecutors. I'm surrendering myself voluntarily. There's no need for further force. For a moment, nobody moved. The tableau held. Isabella stood calm and composed. The tactical team frozen in their advanced positions. Then one officer stepped forward, weapon still raised but no longer aimed directly at her center mass. "Hands on your head, counselor. Turn around slowly," he ordered, voice distorted by his tactical helmet. Behind him, other officers began to move, fan out to secure the penthouse entrance. Isabella complied with deliberate slowness, turning to place her hands on her head. As she did, she caught a glimpse of movement from the corner of her eye. A shadow slipping through a concealed panel in the wall, there and gone so quickly, it might have been imagination. The sight steadied her, reinforcing her resolve. She had bought them enough time, just as she'd intended. Rough hands patted her down, removing her phone and keys. Steel handcuffs closed around her wrists with a definitive click, cold metal against her skin. The sensation was jarringly unfamiliar. She'd never been on this side of an arrest in all her years as a prosecutor. "Isabella Santos, you're under arrest for obstruction of justice, tampering with evidence and conspiracy related to the Victor Aldrich murders," the officer recited, the words formal and practiced. "You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in court." As the Miranda rights continued, Isabella allowed herself to be turned around, facing the tactical team again. Several officers pushed past her into the penthouse, weapons ready, searching for other occupants. Their boots thudded against the hardwood floors, echoing through the now empty space. "Where is Mikhail Volkov?" demanded an officer who seemed to be in charge, his insignia marking him as a lieutenant. His face was visible now, visor pushed up to reveal hard eyes and a mouth set in a grim line. "We have a warrant for his arrest as well." Isabella met his gaze steadily, her expression revealing nothing. "I have no idea. I came here by myself to collect personal items." The lie fell easily from her lips, her courtroom experience making her voice convincing. Her heart rate steady enough that even a lichen would have difficulty detecting the deception. The lieutenant studied her face, skepticism evident in his furrowed brow. "Search the entire floor," he ordered over his shoulder. "Every room, every closet. Check for hidden passages." Isabella allowed a small smile to touch her lips, the expression calculated to unnerve. "He's not here, and I'd like to speak to my attorney now." A flash of annoyance crossed the lieutenant's face. "You'll get your phone call at the station." He gestured to two officers. "Take her down, full protocol, no exceptions." As they led her toward the elevator, Isabella heard the increasingly frustrated sounds of the search team finding nothing. She was sure that the penthouse would yield no trace of Mikhail or Katerina. Centuries of existence had taught Mikhail how to disappear when necessary and leave no trail for hunters to follow. It looked like they'd found a way to override the elevator. When one of her guards punched the button, the doors opened and they guided her inside, none too gently. The elevator doors closed behind them, sealing her in with two tactical officers whose tension was evident in their rigid postures. The descent began smoothly and silently, but the luxury elevator was incongruous with the circumstances. Isabella focused on her breathing, centering herself for what was to come. The handcuffs bit into her wrists when she shifted position, a physical reminder of her current reality. "Never thought I'd be bringing in Isabella Santos," one officer muttered to his partner, voice low but audible in the confined space. "She put my brother's killer away for life last year." The other officer made a non-committal sound, keeping his attention fixed forward. Orders are orders. Someone high up wants her bad. Isabella filed the information away. Another piece in her puzzle. Someone high up. The corruption reached the department's upper echelons, just as she'd suspected. The knowledge strengthened her resolve. This wasn't just about protecting Mikhail and the pack now, but about cleansing a system she'd devoted her life to upholding. The elevator slowed, then stopped at the lobby level. When the doors opened, Isabella was momentarily blinded by flashing lights. Not just police vehicles, but news cameras. Someone had tipped off the press. The realization sent a chill down her spine. This was a public spectacle by design, intended to humiliate and discredit her in every way possible. "Keep your head down," one officer advised, not unkindly, as they led her through the lobby toward the exit. The marble floor gleamed under the emergency lights, reflecting the chaos outside in distorted patterns. Isabella ignored his advice, lifting her chin as they emerged into the night air. The cameras would capture her face, composed, unbroken, dignified despite the handcuffs. It would not be the image of a desperate fugitive, but of a woman who had nothing to fear from justice because she had the truth on her side. As they approached a waiting police vehicle, Isabella caught movement at the edge of her vision. A familiar figure observing from the shadows across the street. Damon stood partially concealed behind a news van, his face illuminated briefly by his phone screen as he typed rapidly. Their eyes met for a fraction of a second, and he gave an almost imperceptible nod before melting back into the crowd of onlookers. An officer opened the rear door of the police cruiser, guiding her head down as she entered the confined space. The interior smelled of industrial cleaner and faint traces of desperation. The sense of countless others who had sat where she now sat, heading toward uncertain fates. The door closed with a definitive thud, sealing her in the cage-like back seat. Through the window, Isabella could see the continued search of the building, officers moving with purpose, K9 units being brought in. They would find nothing. By now, Mikhail and the pack would be moving through the tunnel system beneath Atlanta, making their way to the Eastern Sanctuary. Her sacrifice had bought them the time they needed. As the cruiser pulled away from the curb, joining a convoy of police vehicles with lights flashing, Isabella leaned back against the seat. 24 hours. Time enough to set her plans in motion from within the system she knew better than anyone. Time for Damon to ensure the information her informant had provided reached the right hands. Time for Mikhail to secure the pack and prepare his response. A strange calm settled over her, replacing the adrenaline of the past hour. She had made a choice, not just on the rooftop when she'd agreed to join Mikhail's world, but here, now, choosing to protect that world at risk to herself. The realization brought a clarity she hadn't expected, a certainty that transcended fear. In the darkness of the police cruiser, heading toward a precinct where unknown dangers awaited, Isabella smiled. Let them think they had won. Let them believe they had captured the prey they sought. They didn't understand what she had become. A bridge between worlds, with the strength of both behind her. And in the 24 hours, they would learn exactly what that meant.